but it's amazing to me and to the three of us, because the walks, just like a lot of things, it starts as a thought and an idea, and then you try and figure out how to turn it into something real. We've tried to not change what we set out to do, so that everybody continues to realize that this is not about having a huge megaphone of fans or money. This is about initiative. This is about showing up. And you guys know something about that. I've seen more than a few of your faces. But especially even to those that are walking for the first time, the walk is a symbol of action. It's a symbol of poverty. By taking your shoes off, it's a simple way to say, you know what, this is what it's like to go without something that's the most basic tool for living. Go without shoes. It also relates to, having access to the most basic things like clean water, medicine that costs 33 cents a day that a young woman can take that's pregnant that has HIV. She needs a 33-cent drug. 33 cents is a lot when you're living on less than $1. So when we're walking, the barefoot thing, the symbolism, it's not actually just symbolism. What you're doing today is you're actually getting something done. Every one of you is today earning what most people in the third world, the developing world, barely get access to for a day's work. We're contributing that $1, which is the equivalent of what most people living in sub-Saharan Africa that are struggling with extreme poverty, that's what they're earning every day. That $1 is somebody's life. It really is clean water that could be paid for over a year for a child. It's real things. Now, the reason the walks are really important to us is because they're not just about symbolism. We want you guys to know that we're donating that $1 today for you to the cause that you're supporting, because we want you to be more focused on showing up than whether you gave $1. Now, the scary thing and the inspiring thing is that those small increments really do make a difference. So, we've seen the infomercials, we've watched people of influence talk about giving to the poor, talk about Africa. Those things are valid. But what we're trying to say is you and all of us have a role in fighting extreme poverty in the developing world, in finding friends around the world, and finding partnership. And the way we're going to do it is not necessarily the way our parents did it. It's going to be by us buying one pair of Tom's shoes that turns into another pair of Tom's shoes. Okay? A few years ago, you guys were among the first to know about Tom's shoes, because you joined us on walks, and people were like, "Who's Tom's shoes?" Every Tom character. What's Tom? But now, a few years later, you see them everywhere, right? You were on the front line. I don't know if you know that, but you guys were among the very first to spread the word about what Tom's has done.
And thanks
you were one
to
of the
you
first
all,
to put your shoes on.
Yeah, and thanks to you all initially, that first big goal of 50,000 shoes were delivered to kids throughout sub-Saharan Africa because of you all's willingness to show up, you all's willingness to take your shoes off, you all's willingness to say, oh, that's a great idea, I will buy a pair of those shoes. And through that process, the initial goal back in 2007 of selling 50,000 pairs of shoes to give another 50,000 away was reached because you all were willing to be on the front lines. You were willing to take action, not just talk about it. You were willing to do something that most people, especially journalists who we talk to, look at us with a confused look on their face.
You're what?
You're taking your shoes off? You're doing what?
Who does that really help?
I mean, seriously. Well, actually, who it helps is us as individual people, because ultimately we have the opportunity to relate in a different way than we do with our shoes on. When we take our shoes off, it gives us the opportunity to understand what it is like to not have something that is so basic that we take it for granted every single day. And that's what that is about. That's what the dollar is about. And that's what you all showing up and doing something that people look at us and say, you realize there are needles and glass in the streets, right? And I'm like,
where are you going to get AIDS walking with your shoes on?
I want to say something. We're going to keep this walk going in just a minute. But earlier this summer, we hadn't walked in the summertime. It was hot. Let me tell you what, we've walked in the sun, we've walked in cold, we've walked in rain. Many of you have joined us on those. It gets pretty nasty. And one of those particular walks, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. All right? And I was talking to a few young ladies, and they were complaining about their feet. Okay? And look, we get it. You didn't sign up necessarily for all of this, but if you're here, this is what it's about. And I said it in one of our speeches, I said, you know what? If you're worried about your feet, picture this. And this isn't exaggerating, but I'm going to say it without yelling at you. You are 9 years old. You woke up today in a shack that has no plumbing, has no electricity. You have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old brother. They are looking to you to be their parent. You've lost both your parents. You have no access to education. You can't even spell your name. Okay? That is who you're walking for. That's who you're walking for. This is not a vanity project. This is about getting some shit done. Okay? This is about building a school so that somebody grows up and knows how to spell their name and knows how to change their situation, to earn money, to become a productive member of society. You're not obligated to help somebody in Africa. You guys know that. But it's an incredible opportunity to have the time to take out and go see shows and take walks and buy Hanson merchandise. You're in the privilege. Few people in the world that really have access. Even if you don't feel like you have access, you do. So this is not about feeling bad about it. This is not about talking to other people about what you did today and being pious. But this is about realizing that you can get a lot done. And our generation, I think, is right on the precipice of deciding to be the poor example that says, look at all this information, look at all this freedom of communication, look at all of this wealth that we have. We're going to blow it. Or we look at our cell phones. Who's got a cell phone? Come on, everyone has a cell phone. Who has a camera? Or a camera on their cell phone? You all have a communication device, an ability to share something with the world. Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to influence? We have a field of influence, and so do you. The way the walks have grown has been through you. So, a reminder that in this crazy walk thing that we started doing, the growth, the biggest growth, the leadership has happened because 2 years ago, we said, you can be the leader. And many of you have joined walks with other people. Some have been leaders. We have watched walks from Tokyo to Sydney to London, right here in this town, right here in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in Seattle, organized just like this. Just a bunch of crazy people willing to get their shoes, take the shoes off, and walk down the street barefoot. But
not with us.
Yeah, not with us. People that are leading, like you guys. I don't want somebody to come to a walk and say, well, Hanson's walking, here we go. I want them to say, my friend, put your name there, told me about how we can save lives by walking barefoot for a mile. Who knew? This is the beginning. You guys are on the front line. And sometimes it's lonely out there on the front line.
Leadership is lonely.
So get out
That's
there.
why it's called leadership.
Revel. People look at you like with cross eyes. And they go, what the huh? Umbop is walking and you guys are here. That doesn't even make sense. But what you're doing is inspirational.
Yeah, all right. Aren't they still 12?
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Give him a number for a CAT scan. You guys are amazing. You're inspirational. You remind us why we do this every day. And it is about every day. Wow, I did not like this speech. This is about the everyday. Okay. This is about doing something that is not flashy, that's not glitzy, and about getting something done for real. And more than anything, we want to say thank you. You guys are among the few. So go for us. Cheers for us.
Thank you.
Everybody that's walking barefoot, especially thank you. I remind you guys and encourage you to take those shoes off if you're afraid to. Either way, it's amazing that you're here. We got about half a mile to go. Everybody that's walking, say, I took the walk!
I took the walk! Now if you're ready to keep going, say